make it.
Hey, yeah, just woke up. I was up late. Very late. I was creating invoice forms about 30 invoice forms. Very exciting. I also I put together a video about Roger, about a fund, a Rogers memorial. They're setting up a memorial fund for him at a memorial fund at Western Michigan University. But for the last day, the web address for it doesn't seem to be working. And so I kind of see no point in putting up a video to tell people to go to a website that doesn't work. I thought it would be working by now. I tried waiting up a little bit last night, thinking it would eventually work, but it, as far as I can tell, still doesn't work. If anyone else can just confirm for me that the website is not working, just go to Roger's Facebook cause page, or Roger's Facebook page if anybody is a Facebook friend of his, and check the thing. I'll try and paste it. I don't know, maybe someone will come on later who knows what I'm talking about. But basically, now it's not really goatee, it's go lazy. I just haven't had time to shave. I'm a lazy ass bastard. Lazy ass bastard. Okay, my eyes are getting a little less red now, that's good. I have the link, but for some reason This piece of shit website won't let me paste anything in the comment box. What the fuck? I don't know. Maybe I should just fucking ditch this shitty website and go to Ustream like everyone's asking me to. I mean, yeah, that's it. Yeah, does it, it works for you? It's working? Why the fuck is it not working on... I swear to you, it's not working on Firefox. Alright, I'm gonna open Safari. I am loath to open Safari. I mean, I don't even open Safari when I'm ordering porn online. That's how much I hate Safari. Well, that's only if you really care about the people who produce porn and you want to make sure that they have a funding mechanism. Same as music, you know. Okay, it's not loading on Safari either. I don't know why this would possibly be the case, but it could be blocked. It worked for you when you used Firefox. Safari's not opening it either. Unless it just doesn't work on a Mac, which makes no sense. Maybe it's Japan? That makes no sense. I'm gonna try this bad boy. Hold on one second. Okay, but that's that's really bizarre. Every other person, so it must be a Japan thing. But that's just what's the word? Retarded. I'm actually use Firefox fit near America. Oh God, I really hope Bradley does not name anything he does after Roger, for the sake of his family. But why would the ISP block a university website? I mean, there's a number of things I could understand them blocking, but not that. Oh, internet, you are filled with so many riddles. Alright, well fuck it then. If you guys say it's working, then I'm just gonna make the video live. Hold on a second. I'm just doing some fancy internet stuff. I should have gotten up earlier. I'm still not entirely cognizant. Alright. There. Made it public. Alright, sorry, I'm back. I made the video public. There's not really any big reason to watch it. It's not particularly interesting. I just made a quick video asking people to donate to Roger's memorial fund, which is going to be set up to help people in Western Michigan eventually go study in Japan, which is basically what Roger would have wanted. So it's a scholarship fund for people from Western Michigan interested in studying in Japan, which I think is a wonderful idea, not only because it helps keep alive the memory of Roger, but also I'm sure there's a ton of people who want to get the hell out of Western Michigan. In fact, I can't think of anyone who wouldn't want to leave Western Michigan. So it'll be good for those people in that way as well. It's kind of like, you know, a ticket off the island. I mean, at least Eastern Michigan is shaped like a glove. Western Michigan is shaped like a, well, a penis, basically. Heading towards the large glove-like hand of Eastern Michigan. We all know that's true. I learned that, I think, when I was 8 or 9 in Michigan, geography class in elementary school. Was I the only one who knew? Oh man. Yeah, totally time to get the morning going. It's actually 12:20 in the morning, so that's kind of sad that I'm getting up now. I should have gotten up. I meant to get up, just so you know, I meant to get up at 9:30. So I'm not that late. But anywho, yeah, I have no idea what's wrong with the thing, the page, but I'm just gonna have to let other people figure that out. I'm thinking it's something in Japan. For some reason, Western Michigan University does not want Japan to know about Rogers Memorial. No, there's no women in my home. There's no women in home. I think it's just wishful thinking on your guys. Well, it's wishful thinking on my part as well. But no, there's no women in my house. Actually, in the video I went to see the grave of Lefadio Hearn, aka Koizumi Yakumo. I don't know if anyone here is aware of and so Koizumi Yakumo, I thought it just hit me the other day how similar he was to Roger. He's born in Greece, but he was pretty much raised in Ireland in the 1850s. He had quite a colorful life, but I think somewhere around the 1870s, he decided to go to Japan. And then, pretty much from then on, he spent the rest of his life in Japan. He eventually married a Japanese woman, became a Japanese citizen, took on a Japanese name, Koizumi Yakumo, and he wrote basically horror stories. He was very, very famous for Japanese horror stories, especially one book called Kwaidan. I was thinking maybe I'm saying it wrong, but very, very famous Japanese horror writer, and to this day he's still known for his love of Japan, his love of Japanese horror. So I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking like, wow, and I don't mean this as an insult to Roger by any means, but just to put Roger's experience in kind of part of a larger dynamic. Roger was not the first by far, and he certainly won't be the last. Roger was absolutely unique, but Roger is one more in a long line of weirdos like myself, like Roger, like Koizumi Yakumo, who for some reason or other ended up in Japan, fascinated by this country, and both in the case of Roger and Koizumi Yakumo, left in a wooden box. Well, actually, didn't leave in the case of Koizumi Yakumo. So as a horror movie buff, I'm sure Koizumi Yakumo and Roger would have had a lot to talk about. They would have had tons to talk about. Well, my point was that, it doesn't end. And actually, Koizumi Yakumo went on to influence many people with his writing. And actually, today, being a foreigner in Japan today has actually a slightly different meaning because of Koizumi Yakumo. He's a white dude who's one of the more respected writers of Japanese literature that has had an effect on Japanese people's view of foreigners in general over the century or so since he passed. And the actions of foreigners today, have an effect on foreigners who might be coming here 100 years from now, if Japan hasn't sunk into the ocean underneath global warming, that is. So I just thought it was interesting in the context that Roger was certainly not alone, and the work that he was doing is certainly not finished. and there's many other people who will come after him. And hopefully that memorial will be something that encourages the next Koizumi Yakumo, the next Roger Swan, the next Japanophile who dedicates their life to this crazy country. Yeah. Oh no, don't worry. It will not become about global climate change. God, no. God, I'd rather talk about my ingrown toenail than that. Which, by the way, it's a very adorable ingrown toenail. It's lovely. I just keep poking at it. But anyway, so the Roger Memorial is set up. Unfortunately, I was able to get the website to work at one point, but now I'm not able to. But when I did get it set up, you could only really donate by credit card. Unfortunately, sorry, what the hell was I just talking about? Yeah, it was only like by credit card, and despite being a 32-year-old adult, I don't have a credit card, which is both sad and not true. But it's like I wish I could pay by PayPal, so I emailed the parents about possibly trying to set up some type of PayPal thing, because I think especially for its global fans, a lot of us could only pay through a PayPal account. I'm not the only person who doesn't have a credit card. I'm sure some of Roger's fans in Namibia also don't have credit cards. I think it's easier if you have a job. That's probably one of the main reasons. In fact, and I've tried a couple times. I've tried. The worst was getting rejected by the Tsutaya video shop. They have like a credit card / membership card. That, like, I mean, I think pretty much if you were just a living human being, you would get it. And so I was pretty impressed that that even the video store turned me down for their extremely exciting credit card. And fucking American Express, they're the hardest, from what I hear. But like, they had this whole thing set up in Ikebukuro Station. Like, every day I'd be walking through Ikebukuro Station, and this cute little Amex showgirl in her little Amex outfit and cravat would smile at me and be like, "American Express?" And so like, "Oh, yeah, sure. I could use a card." So I sat down at the little makeshift table, and she's like, "Okay, so I just have to fill out some paperwork. So what do you do exactly?" And chatting with this very attractive young 20-something girl, and I was like, "Well, I do a number of things. I'm a writer and a stand-up comedian, and occasionally I post internet's video, And she was just looking at me with these sad eyes of pity. So it's like you don't work for a bank or a foreign company, do you? No, you don't. Okay. Well, I'm gonna politely take down all this information and smile. Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay, I think we've got everything we need now. Okay. Well, we'll send that letter as soon as we can. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye. It was so painful because I could just tell in her eyes. She's just like, hmm. And I'm like, my dad has an Amex card, and she's like, oh, that's helpful. That's helpful. That's good to know. You know. But it's a classic complaint. A lot of gaijin have had the same issue. Okay. Sorry, just distracted for a moment there. Uh, and people stop private messaging me so I can focus. Arr! Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, it's difficult for me to get a credit card here because I'm a freelancer. I don't have any contract with anybody at the moment. I had a contract for a while with JIB TV, and they were like renewing it month to month. But I think like back in July, we just forgot to stop renewing the contract because there's really no point. Like when you're renewing a contract month to month, it's kind of pointless. But and then I have like a number of other jobs. Like I've had I had one job like I wrote a TV show recently, and the contract for that was from first episode to last episode, which was like 9 months or something like that. So all of my work is finite in nature, and I think credit card companies like to see you have a job. Credit card companies are like your parents, but with more authority over what you do. If you freelance on a working holiday visa, can you change to self-sponsor visa? It's possible, yeah. I think actually you could segue from a working holiday visa to a self-sponsor visa. You can't do it from a tourist visa to a regular visa. Basically, for example, this is just an example. If you came here on a working holiday visa and you were tending bar at a restaurant, and then you were doing so well at the bar that you made, I don't know, several $100,000 worth of tips, and then you opened your own bar in Tokyo, you could get a visa for owning your own like business. Maybe that would be possible. I don't know. That's a ridiculous scenario. I would say like you have to within that time period show that you have set up a means of supporting yourself. You know. But then at that point, it begs the question: why wouldn't you just get a regular business visa or a working visa from a company you're employed by? The self-sponsored visa, which I have, I've explained this a couple times, I think. So sorry if this confuses anyone. And I hate explaining it because it always creates more questions than it solves, because the visa system is rather bizarre. Frankly, my visa does not technically exist. No matter what the Japanese government says, every visa essentially comes down to a Japanese dude at a desk with a folder full of papers that you have provided. And they look through those papers, and they have a list, a general guideline set up by the government as to whether or not to approve or deny that visa. Now, if in the paperwork you submitted there is a company with a contract promising at least 250,000 yen a month, they are what's called your sponsor, basically, and you pretty much automatically get a stamp. But in my situation, I was earning enough money, more than 250,000 yen a month, but I did not have a single employer. I had like 8 different employers. I still do. So there wasn't a single company. But I had also lived continuously in Japan for 5 years, not broken any laws, paid all of my taxes, and I had included letters from both government organizations and private companies asking in Japanese on like company letterhead from like president of such and such company, asking on the behalf of the company to allow me to stay in the country, that I was necessary to the operations of their work. I had like probably 4 or 5 letters like that, including contracts, past tax reforms, stuff like that. I put all that into the magic visa machine, and whatever dude got my file went through it and said, well, this guy appears to be, a positive contributing member of Japanese society. He's working, paying taxes, so he stamped approval. That's why my balls were sweating the last time I had my visa approved. Because he could have said, well, technically he's not really got one major company sponsoring him. So, it could have been rejected. It doesn't exist. If you look at the Ministry of Justice webpage, there's no section about this, really. But it happens. It's kind of like for people who fall between the cracks of what's explained in the Ministry of Justice website, because it can't cover everything, and there's a number of notable exceptions as well. For example, far more notable, Bobby Fischer, who was here and was supposed to be extradited back to the U.S. Japan held him like indefinitely in the immigration office while they tried to figure out what to do with him, and eventually he proved that he was married to some Japanese woman, which was all set up just to get him, some more legal documents, and then eventually Iceland volunteered to take him. and so Bobby Fischer went to Iceland with his Japanese wife. But that's a much larger version of kind of the ambiguity within the Japanese immigration system. That the Japanese immigration system was like, well, we can't technically deport him because we don't exactly know. He was kind of in the gray area. Another thing that comes up very, very often is it's horrible. Every time I hear one of these stories, it's horrible. It happens with great regularity. A recent one was two parents from Pakistan, I believe, and they had lived in Japan for 25 years with no visa at all. They had just lived here. They had a house. Their kids were going to school. They had no identification, nothing. And then one day, Dad was walking home from the train station. They had jobs, yeah. The father was a mechanic I believe, a mechanic for a Japanese auto firm. And then one day he was just walking home from the train station, and the police officer thought, that man is brown. And they went and asked him for his ID, and he was like, it's at the house. And they basically then were like, okay, you guys were never supposed to be here. But the problem was they had I think, 2 or 3 children who had been born in Japan and raised in Japan until like the age of like 16 or 17. But his children also were illegal immigrants. So what the government did was basically say, okay, we're going to deport all of you back to Pakistan. And the family was like, look, my children don't speak any Pakistani. They don't. They've never been there. They have no connection whatsoever to the country. They've been born, grew up, lived here for like 15, 16 years. Sorry, Urdu. I'm a retard. I blame it on being American. And they really just didn't know what else to do with them. Then, and this has happened a couple times, Japanese media swooped in, and other gaijin groups and gaijin-friendly groups that support these type of people swooped in and made a huge media spectacle out of it, and basically said, look, the government wants to send this poor little girl back to her country. Isn't the government horrible? And then the immigration office goes, well, actually, she can stay. And then everybody has to go. So the rest of the family, the adults of the family, were deported. But the children, generally speaking, if there's media attention, are eventually given a choice to either say goodbye to their family forever and stay in Japan, or go back to their country. So, and just in the last couple of years, I remember a Filipino family, and the most recent one I think was a Pakistani family that happened to. But like again, that was all the reason the immigration office was able to backtrack is because the immigration office essentially has the power to do whatever it wants. There's no, like, the immigration office has within its like jurisdiction to just, be like, you okay, bonk, and they can do it. And yes, it is the parents' fault for not getting a visa. I'm not taking sides in the story. I mean, I will say I think it's sad, but I also think you should do things legally. It's the same way I feel about illegal immigrants in the U.S. I have great sympathy for Mexicans in the U.S. because I essentially am a Mexican in Japan. I have great sympathy for them, but there's a front door, and it's there for a reason. And I know so many Japanese people who enter the green card lottery year after year after year. They do everything they possibly can. They spend thousands of dollars to try and get into like a study program in the U.S. so they can stay there for a while, and they do all of that stuff legally. because they know that's the right way to do it, and as a result, they almost all of them get stiff armed and aren't allowed to enter the country, like permanently. They're allowed to enter, for a while and spend money, but I know a lot of people who try to immigrate to the U.S. legally, and they don't get in. Whereas when I lived in California, I had a number of acquaintances who were illegal aliens, and they didn't really, do much to get into the country. I mean, the stories I could tell about illegal immigrants I knew in LA, wow. But I mean, so it's like at that level, I kind of get irritated by illegal immigrants just because I know so many people trying to immigrate legally, you know. But anyway, I don't want to get into a whole discussion about that. My point is that the visa is the Japanese can give out a visa basically to whoever they want for whatever reasons they want. Like, for example, there's like a couple soccer players who had like permanent residency within like a week of being in the country. Like, if you play soccer really well, trust me, that visa is gonna go through like just in time for the World Cup. You know, so the rules on immigration here are malleable, to say the least. But for the average Joe like me, I had to provide an enormous amount of information to do that. Again, my visa is going to end in July this year, and so I'm going to have to go through the same thing again. I have to, again, show again that I've been paying taxes, which I have, show that I'm working, which I am, hopefully get some letters from various companies, government organizations on my behalf, and process all of that for the sake of getting a visa. And hopefully that'll happen again. They've already granted it once, so I can't imagine they would say no the second time, but then again, who knows. And there is always a possibility of just getting married. I went and talked to a lawyer about incorporating myself into a company and then hiring myself as an employee, which is also another way to get a visa. And the lawyer just said, like, he dating anybody? And I was like, oh yeah, well, why? He's like, just get married, just get married, And I'm like, you're a lawyer, and that's your best legal advice? He's like, yeah, pretty much. That's the best thing you could do. But I would rather not do that. So yeah, and also, like, I mean, if it looks like the visa is not going to come through, I could always do the unthinkable and just get a job teaching at an English school again, like a legit job, or like a translation job, or I mean, there's plenty of other legit jobs I could get that would provide me a visa. But I like freelancing because it allows me to be sitting in a fleece in my room on a Friday afternoon drinking coffee talking to the internet. Whereas if I had like a job, I'd have to be at an office right now. But then, I don't know, again, I still have 6 months, no, not even, yeah, maybe 5-6 months before, I have 5 months before I have to really worry about it. So Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So switching from a freelance, so from a working holiday visa to a freelance kind of self-sponsored visa is definitely possible, but might be difficult. Um, I think that the main reason someone would want to do that is the working holiday visa doesn't require any educational background to get it. And almost all working visas, like 90% probably, require some type of undergraduate degree or something like that. Um, so I don't know. Do I know any all-you-can-eat buffets in Tokyo? I need to find one today. I do. I do, in fact, know all-you-can-eat buffets in Tokyo. I did an episode of Tokyo Eye about that. The best one is the Hyatt Hotel. Uh, there, I believe they have a buffet lunch, but it's like 4 or 5 thousand yen. It's awesome. They also have it like from 2 to 3, 2 to 4, dessert buffet. It's like $50, but it's like every dessert ever, and you can just go crazy. Otherwise, what you want to look for is something called a tabe hodai. Tabe hodai. Um, trying to think. Tabe hodai is usually it's a set amount of time all you can eat. I'm trying to think where would be a good place to go for a tabe hodai? Um, hmm. There's an Indian place on Sentagai in Shibuya. Like Sentagai in Shibuya. If you've ever been to Shibuya, it's I think this finger on my convenient Cooney Shibuya map. It's the pedestrian walkway. You're up there. If you go up just a little ways past the Starbucks on the left, there's an Indian place that's tabe hodai. It's pretty cheap too. I think it's like 1,000 yen. God knows what crow and kitten meat they're using in those vindaloo, but it's cheap. Indian tabe hodai. Yeah, and the Park Hyatt in Shinjuku, I believe, is the one I went to that had the expensive tabe hodai. Let's see where else. That's hard. The thing is, I know where these places are, but I don't know their names and I don't know their addresses. They're in my head. I know how to get there. Sorry about that. Kit masala. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a lot of Indians. It was cool. It happens rarely, but I had a comedy show on Friday night, and there was these 3 Indian dudes who were working for some bank or something like that, and they rock up and like, "Oh yes, I enjoyed the show very much. It was very funny. You are very entertaining." I was like, "Oh, thank you, Indian guy." He's like, "Yes, I have been watching your videos on YouTube. Thank you very much for all of the ideas." I was so excited. I have fans on the subcontinent. Woo! But they're really nice guys. Really nice guys. We sat and chatted for a while. Uh, Unfortunately, the show is always a little bit crazy, so I never have as much time to chat as I'd like. But that was cool. My first Indian fans that I've met, which is kind of weird. And it is irritating because they work for banks, so I'm pretty sure they all make a hell of a lot more money than I do. And they're like, and they probably have like furnished apartments in like nice areas of town, you know. So later, Tamerlane. Oh man, I would love to be in Bollywood. That's where I need to go. Bad bladder control. Um, if you have, for example, something like 5 years experience doing some type of mechanic work, like you can actually show that you've done the job of being a mechanic for 5-10 years, and then you can find a company in Japan that wants to hire you to do that, it is conceivable that you could get a working visa. It's sometimes, instead of academic qualifications, they will accept specific documented experience in a specific field in lieu of that. So that's why, currently one of the major ways people are attempting to come here is nursing. So like actually doctors in, say, the Philippines will get a working visa here as like a nurse. But even that, there's a whole bunch of hullabaloo going on about that. But it's like they can show that they have specific qualifications in a specific field. Again, a mechanic, I don't know. I don't know. There's no actors guild. There's no really guilds of any kind whatsoever in Japan. And unions are few and far between. There's probably more than anyone here is interested in knowing, but at one point, and still, the foreign English teachers of Tokyo have unionized, and it's been an ongoing kind of debate within the Gaijin English teaching community for a while. A lot of people hate the union, and a lot of people think it's fighting the man. There's very, very wide separation of points of view about the English teachers union, especially because what ended up happening as a result of the union started demanding that Japanese companies provide health insurance to foreign teachers living here. Basically most foreign, like smaller companies especially, were just were not covering their workers' health care because it was just an expense, and most people don't stay more than like a year or so, and most people are like young, like 20 something. So the union won that battle, but as a result, what happened is teachers in a lot of those companies then had to start paying part of the healthcare costs. So, like, all of the people who were affected by that union action were like, "Oh, thanks, that's great. Now I get to pay money for something I didn't want." And legally, they're right. The government was required to force companies to have their employees in some kind of healthcare, and the company has to pay part of it, and the employee has to pay part of it. But like most of the young teachers just were like, "Fuck it, I can go a year without healthcare. I can go a year without insurance." But then, because of the attention that the union drew to the issue, it ended up causing most English schools to cut their teachers' hours to part-time work levels. So they the industry reorganized itself to employ a lot of part-time workers, which the healthcare rule doesn't apply to avoid paying for the healthcare costs in that way. And those who were full-time then had to start paying into the healthcare. So, I mean, I think like their general idea is good to look out for gaijin rights, but the union, the Japanese English Teachers Union, the jury's out whether or not they've had actually a positive effect on improving the lives of foreign English teachers here, because I mean a lot of people just ended up going from full-time employees to part-time employees because their companies couldn't afford the healthcare, or said they couldn't afford the healthcare. Yeah, actually that was There was a ton of people shitting a brick about that. Up until now, you were not required to have health care when you renewed your visa, and they came up with a new policy. As I was saying before, there's like that guy in the room, he's got a list of government kind of things to check against your paperwork. They were going to add to that you needed to be registered in the National Healthcare Plan. And I love the National Healthcare Plan. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. Japanese healthcare is abso-freaking-lutely fantastic. Someone probably messaged me some debate on MSNBC about some idiot politician saying how bad the Japanese healthcare system is. They're full of shit. They don't know what to talk about. Japanese healthcare is great. But I didn't pay it for like the first 4 years I was here. So when I entered the system, I had to thwack down this huge backlog of money I owed. And now I do have to pay a considerable amount of money towards it. But I'm not a kid anymore, so, you know. So when I was young, I didn't care, but, you know, once you get past 30 and your body starts falling apart, it's nice to have, you know, healthcare. But anyway, I have it, so I'm up to date with my healthcare payments. I have a healthcare card, so it wouldn't have been an issue for me. But there are many people here, living here, who have never joined the healthcare system. And what would have happened if that rule had continued was that they would have had to pay, they would have had to join healthcare before they could renew their visa, which probably would have meant paying several $1,000s in back payments that they hadn't been paying. So a number of people, a lot of people actually, would either have had to fork over a couple $1,000s to join the healthcare system or leave the country. And fortunately, the government has rethought this idiotic idea, and the way that they're going to ask the immigration office to give anyone who doesn't have health care a pamphlet encouraging them to get health care in the future. But it's no longer a requirement. That being said, as I said, it boils down to a single dude. So, I mean, having the health care and having paid those premiums all that time would certainly help your case under visa renewal. If you didn't have it, technically it shouldn't matter, but the person looking at your application is aware that you don't have it. So that's kind of the shitty thing about the immigration system here. It's like that technically on paper it doesn't matter, but the immigration authorities will be aware of whether or not you have health care. And we're yet to find out if people who don't have health care are suddenly mysteriously not getting their visas reapproved. That could happen. It's not supposed to come into effect until spring. Anyway. Oh man. I know, a pamphlet. My God. Yeah, and if you don't have the money, the pamphlet's like a fucking help. Yeah, it's a tough situation, you know. That's a good question. The most overlooked district in Tokyo. I think Tokyo as a city is the most looked over city in the world. My God, there are so many, myself included, so many blogs and books and magazines and essays covering every single possible angle of this city. It's just endless, the amount of information, both by foreigners and by the Japanese. I mean, since the first foreigner came here, you know, the first fucking thing he did was write a book about the Japanese people and how interesting and unique and special they are. You know, it's like, it's the most overdone thing to comment on the Japanese, but, you know, it doesn't stop me from doing it. So if I'd say an overlooked neighborhood, it's Ikebukuro, where I live. It's generally referred to as Northern Tokyo, but Meijiro, Ikebukuro, Otsuka, Sugamo, Komagome, Tabata, Myogadani, um, uh, where else? You know, this whole kind of, it's like if the Yamanote was a clock, the whole area around 10, 11 o'clock on the clock face. In most guidebooks, they refer to it vaguely at best. They mention Sunshine City, which is the tallest building in Tokyo here in Ikebukuro, and that's pretty much it. They generally don't mention much else because, especially for a foreign visitor, there's not a lot to do in Ikebukuro. So as a result, it's not really covered that much. But like Shinjuku, Akihabara, Shibuya, Omotesando, Harajuku, Odaiba, all of those areas, the southern and eastern parts, are covered in full. But the northwest side of Tokyo is just not really so not so much about it. Also, further western Tokyo, if you go west from Shinjuku, past I'd say beyond Nakano, pretty much anything past Nakano never gets reported in any guidebook or anything like that. But there's a ton of interesting shit out in Hachioji and Kichijoji. I mean, Kichijoji's starting to appear in guidebooks and stuff. You know, so Nakano Broadway is about as far west as they tend to go. Oh yeah, Kichijoji has a Ghibli museum. But those areas are not treated as destination neighborhoods. Like, they might have a thing there they'll mention, but they don't generally get into them. Almost all of the stuff, like tourism stuff, focuses on Shinjuku and the south, and then east towards the palace. Imperial Palace is located dead smack center in the middle of the city, where, like, you know, the little rotator thing on the clock would be. Piss Alley is in Shinjuku. Yeah. Yeah, Hachiko Memorial Statue is cool. Piss Alley is technically called Omoidasu Yokucho, which means like Remembrances Alley, but the locals all call it Piss Alley, Shonben Yokucho. Shonben Yokucho appears in one of my videos, the one I did with Ken Tanaka. That's a long time ago, but we went for food and drinks in Shonben Yokucho. It's on the west side of Shinjuku. If you do get a chance to go soon. There's always a chance that place is going to disappear. It's basically only kept alive by a special city ordinance that says safety, fire, construction rules do not apply to that 1-2 block piece of Tokyo. It's in violation of like every possible fire and building code ever. But the government has specifically given like a kind of amnesty to that section because of its cultural significance. Another place like that is Golden Guy. But at some point there is going to be a grease fire in one of those little yakitori shops, and someone will die, and then the whole thing will get shut down. It's probably just a matter of time. That whole little thing is a death trap. But a very cool death trap. A very, very cool death trap. Wow. I might argue that the John Lennon Museum never should have opened, but... Are there any parks or forests near Tokyo? Yeah. The most popular is the Okutama area, which is out in western Tokyo. Again, you just get on the Chuo line, which goes east-west through the city. And you just head out west, and eventually get there. From Ikebukuro, you can get on the Seibu Ikebukuro line, and that takes you up to Chichibu, the Chichibu Mountains, which are awesome. I've always wanted to do a video up there. I fucking love Chichibu. When I lived in Shakuji-koen, which is on that line, I used to go up there like once a month and go hiking. That's a great place for mountains. Those are probably the two closest and most popular destinations. Of course, Hakone as well, but Hakone is fairly built up. But around that area there are some things. But Okutama and Chichibu are probably the two best places. Yes, Shakuji-koen, really. I lived there for about a year. When I die, I want to die in a love hotel with, oh man, it's quite a list. Yeah, I plan to do a video on convenience stores. I was going to do it, this last video was going to either be a winter one or convenience store one, but I ended up doing the winter one. And then the next video I was going to do was one about Ikebukuro, but the whole thing with Roger happened. So I've been focusing on that, obviously. Again, yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, I just put up a video on YouTube giving information about Roger's memorial fund being set up at Western Michigan University. Please check that out, and please donate to that fund if you have the capacity to. That would be a very cool thing to do. And for whatever accounts, TokyoCooney thinks you're awesome if you throw some ducats the way of the fund. Send a chick as well. Yeah. Well, hey, as long as it's someone who has the same passion as Roger, it's going to a good place. Ah, Nicholas, 1989. That's hard. That's really hard. Frankly, alright, sorry, I'm sorry my answers are always very long-winded. I don't intend them to be, but I just find it difficult to answer succinctly. When I was applying to the now defunct, well, mostly defunct English School Nova back in 2001, I went to an interview in San Diego, and I asked the guy at the interviewing thing asked me, like, so, where would you prefer to live in Japan if you could choose anywhere? And I said, Nagoya. And he's like, Nagoya? Really? Why? I'm like, well, it's kind of like in the middle there. It's not too big a city. It's not too small. It's, halfway between Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto. It seems like a nice happy medium for everything. Like, a good balance to get a good view of everything, And he said, yeah, that's a stupid idea. You want to live in Tokyo. Trust me. You do not want to live in Nagoya. You want to live in Tokyo. And I was like, really? And he's like, yes, you do not want to live in Nagoya. And he was right. As a friend of mine, Spring, says in her comedy bit, I was very excited to go to Nagoya until I found out that Nagoya is Japanese for Detroit. And that's essentially what Nagoya is. Japanese for Detroit. It's it's not a bad place, but yeah, I would recommend living there. Anyway, the other thing he said was, truth be told, your favorite place in Japan will be wherever it is you first live. Like, whatever the first place you live in Japan is, that will always be for you the best place in Japan. And for me, it was Itabashiku in northern Tokyo, and actually someone just asked me what's the most overlooked place in Tokyo, and I said northern Tokyo. And it's really true. I mean, I still feel some weird connection between that neighborhood, more than I felt with any other part of the city or the country. There really is, if you're an urban person, if you're a person who likes cities and people and things to do and culture and the bustle and hum of a big city, you have to live in Tokyo. Even Osaka, which is a big city, is not really a big city. It's really Tokyo or nothing. Tokyo is the center of Japan in every way, shape, or form. Economy, government, culture. All the other cities might be nice, but they are not. They do not even hold a candle to the types of opportunities you have in Tokyo. So that's one other thing to note. Now, if I could have a personality change, like say I spawned and had a kid, and no longer was interested in living in a city that's open 24 hours a day and has literally, there's events every night I could go to of some kind or another. If I didn't like that lifestyle, then the two places I would think about living are Shimoda, on the southern tip of the Izu Peninsula, or the island of Hachijojima in the Izu Island chain. Either of those two places would where I would consider living if I could choose any other place. Why the island? Because it's awesome. It's awesome. But I would go crazy there. Like right now, with my current life, if I lived there, I would go batshit crazy. So that's essentially the main reason I don't now. But it's awesome. I love that place. I've been there many times for several weeks at a time, and I love it. But I'm never gonna live there. Maybe like when I'm 70, I'll live there. Not that I'm gonna make it to 70. And Shimoda is a town on the southern tip of the Izu Peninsula. It's about 4 hours, 4.5 hours from Tokyo by train. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. And it's great because it's just a gorgeous town, incredibly nice people, beautiful views of the oceans and the mountains. Food's amazing. There's a great kind of artist community there as well. Not huge, but I mean there's a lot of somewhat of an artist vibe there as well. I think that would be a cool place. But I think it's a cool place anyway. It reminds me of kind of, it's like Burlington in a way, but maybe a little bit more hick than Burlington. Oh yes, Bunsy, sorry. Yes, I haven't emailed you back about that yet. I'm gonna get to that. If you're staying for about a month, you might want to look into a weekly mansion, or essentially you rent an apartment kind of for a month. It's a furnished apartment for like a month, but you can rent it for up to a month. So I would definitely search on the internet for a weekly mansion in Tokyo. That it's cheaper than going to a hotel. I'm not sure Sakura House has a weekly mansion set up, but there's a number of them. and it'll end up costing a shit ton more than an actual apartment would cost, but not nearly as much as you'd pay for a hotel every day. And there's no services, there's no like, room service or any shit like that. They don't clean your room, but it is the best, cheapest long-term option, especially for a family. My parents, before I had a place big enough for my parents to stay at, that's where they stayed when they'd come to visit for a month at a time. The music is Fei Wong, by the way, those of you who are asking, and I'm almost certain that her music has been used in an anime at some point. I think also Final Fantasy, one of these songs, I think, what is it? That song. I can't find it. Fuck it. This one, yeah. I think this is used in something, either Final Fantasy or some anime. It's the most popular song by her I've heard. What's the weirdest drink you had there? Actually, I have a couple of the chocolate drinks in my fridge. Sweet. Chocolate sparkling. Nice. What is coffee like in Japan? The legend of the $10 cup of coffee is bullshit. I remember, well, before I came to Japan, everyone I told, I'm moving to Japan actually next year. Next year I'll be living in Japan. Actually, no, sorry. I decided to move to Japan and was here within about a 2-month time frame. It actually wasn't a year. In the 2-month period between when I left LA and arrived here, everyone was saying, "Oh, Japan, yeah. It's like $10 for a cup of coffee in Japan, man. You realize that, right? It's like $10 for a cup of coffee. You want a cup of coffee? $10 like that, like that. Bam, so expensive." And I was like, "Wow, shit, that's a lot of money for a coffee." And like most things that people say, it's bullshit. The unfortunate thing is most information about foreign country comes secondhand from some person who's been there, and more often than not, that person is a moron. So, like, that person was probably on a business trip to Japan and stayed at the Park Hyatt in Shinjuku and went to the 40th floor coffee lounge and got a bill for $20 for a cappuccino and a cookie. And they were like, "Holy shit, this is expensive. Thank God the company is paying for it." And then when they got home, that was the story they told everybody. "Oh my God, it's crazy. Coffee's like $10 in Tokyo." It's the same thing. I had this Japanese guy telling me how he thought pizza in New York sucked. And I was like, I mean, first of all, I almost throttled him, but you're not allowed to do that to students. And as I, carefully breathed through my nose and out through my mouth, I said, "Where exactly did you have pizza in New York City that it sucked?" And he's like, "Yeah, I had it room service at my hotel, and it was like, I mean, I've had much better pizza here in Tokyo." And I was like, "Really? Really? The room service pizza was not amazing, But it's like so many people, like, they don't actually go and fucking see the city. They get a room service pizza, and then they base their entire judgment on it based on that. And then when they get home, they go around telling everybody, well, I've been to New York, and the pizza sucked. You know. So anyway, that's like the most irritating thing. So it's the same thing in reverse with Japan. So coffee, like Starbucks, it's a little bit more expensive. It's like $3 for a coffee, medium-sized coffee at Starbucks. But then there's like cheaper chains like Detour or LSA, which are it's like $1.80, and then there's canned coffee like at the vending machine, which is like $1.20. So a huge range in quality and prices. And as far as bizarre drinks, this one here, the chocolate sparkling, is just the most recent of many. In the recent time I've been here, there was the cucumber flavored cola, there was the blue Hawaii, I don't know what the hell flavor that was. There was shiso, Pepsi. There was azuki bean flavored cola. There was it's endless. Pocari Sweat is essentially like Gatorade. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But the reason they make these hideous things, yeah, yummy. Tastes like a leper's asshole. The reason they do it is because if it's new, they will put the product in the front shelf of the convenience store. So anytime a big company releases a new product, the convenience stores give the best shelf space for that product, like in the front of the convenience store. So people walk in and be like, "Oh my god, look, that's new! I haven't had that," and they buy it. So it's this constant reinvention because the lack of shelf space in convenience stores. So if you have a new product, you get a good spot on the shelves. If you're selling, the same old thing, like for example, Pepsi, I almost never see Pepsi in convenience stores ever. They just can't get onto the convenience store shelves. Coca-Cola and Diet Cola are there, but I mean it's just there's a limited amount of space. They can only have so many drinks. And it's up to the convenience store what they want to put on their shelves. And so they'll put on the shelves whatever they think they can move the fastest. And for a limited period of time, this will move off the shelves as people buy it to try it. Ah, yum. I buy Pepsi. There's a vending machine near my house that has these tall boy cans of Pepsi, biggins, for 100 yen. It's the greatest thing in the world. So I specifically, whenever I walk home, I walk about 5 minutes out of my way to go past that vending machine, and I fill my bag up with Pepsis from that machine. I don't know how this miracle machine exists, but it does. And at some point, I'm going to show up. I had a similar one. There was one that had big cans of Coca-Cola for 100 yen, and then just one day it magically changed to 130. So I have no idea how much longer that will continue. The 100 yen Pepsi vending machine will continue. At some point, they'll jack up the price. And what's really pissing me off lately, absolutely, totally infuriating me, is a lot of the fast food chains now are not serving regular Pepsi or Coke anymore at all. Lateria and Mosburger only serve Nex or Zero or I don't know, Giro Matrix, whatever the fuck it's called. It's the 0-calorie cola put out by Coca-Cola. There's one by Coca-Cola, one by Pepsi, the Coca-Cola one's called, it's got some bullshit, future sounding name. Zero, yeah, Coke Zero. And Pepsi's is NEX, spelled with an X, which I guess makes it that much more rad. And so, yeah, so every fucking Mosburger and Lateria only serves that. And the first time I got it, like, I went to Lateria because they had this burger that I really liked. Lateria sucks. It just sucks. But they had this one burger there that was good, the Zeppelin burger. And I went as usual, got my little burger, got my cola, went outside onto the little patio, sat down and eating it. I'm drinking cola, like, wow, oh god, that fucking idiots. They gave me the Diet Cola. And I was furious. So I went, I marched right back in there up to the counter, and I said, "Excuse me, do I look like I need a Diet Cola?" I said, "Pepsi, not Diet Pepsi. I would like a normal Pepsi." And like slammed it down on the counter, and the very terrified looking little Japanese wait staff person was like, "We only sell Diet Cola." And it was like, "What?" It's like, "Yes, we don't have the regular cola anymore, only Pepsi Next. So I assumed when you said you wanted a Pepsi, you wanted Pepsi Next." And like, "Oh, I see. Well then, I'm gonna go outside again," and walked out. It was awkward because I was so livid that they had just misunderstood me, or just not listened to me, and eschewed my demands. But no, it turned out there was actually nothing wrong with our interaction at the cash register, and she got it perfectly correct. I just didn't realize that now Lateria only serves Diet Cola, which is bullshit. I mean, I'm not a proponent of terrorism, but I think someone should douse themselves in gasoline and light themselves on fire in the lobby of Lateria, just to send a message, the important message to the Lateria chain that we will not accept, Diet Cola only. I mean, I'm not going to be the guy to do it, but if anyone else there wants to do it, I think that would really reach the top management if someone ignited themselves on fire in one of their stores. But I don't know why. And everyone I've talked to, every single person I've talked to, Japanese or foreign, everyone agrees with me that it sucks. So no one seems to know why they're doing it. Like, or at least just have both. Forget orange drink, okay? Once in every year, I want to get the orange drink. It's the most. I know it's there, and I'm sure there's some people out there who love the orange drink, but it's clearly not the crowd favorite. I mean, it's not everybody loves the orange drink. So I say, let's get rid of the orange drink and put in just a regular cola fountain there, so we could have the diet and the cola one. But Mosburger and Lateria are both doing that. Sorry, I saw your comment a couple times, Rastelin. I do not believe I was listening to Pussifier 5 minutes ago, since I don't know what Pussifier is. I don't think it's in my iTunes. No, orange drink. This is this vague tang. It's like Tang, basically. I don't know what it is. Do you know what I miss most? The thing I miss most is self-serve soda fountains when I was a kid at Burger King. And I remember going, and I'd add a little bit of root beer, and then 2 fingers of cola, and then finish it off with ginger ale, and then be like, "I've invented my new drink. One day I will become a famous drink creator for PepsiCo after they taste my perfect combination of all these flavors." I love doing that. It always ends up tasting like Dr. Pepper for some reason. how do I say ketchup only on my burger in Japanese? I can't think of a time you would ever need to use that, because they don't put ketchup on anything else. So I can't really, I don't think you'll have a problem with that, Vovian. I've never seen them put ketchup on things. Put ketchup on the burger. Oh, if you mean only ketchup, like no mustard? No mustard or anything like that? Oh yeah, if you mean I only want ketchup on my burger. Yeah, they would do that for you. Just say like, baga wa ketchup dake de onegaishimasu. Something like that. I don't know. Like, ketchup dake. Ketchup dake. It's important to gesticulate and open your eyes really big too. Baga ketchup dake. Perhaps would be the best way. But again, it's a 50-50 chance that what's going to come out. You never really know. Because you got to keep in mind that the staff are somewhat like freaking out. So it's not really, I mean, Burger King is. Like the Burger King here, they love doing it your way right away. But all the other chains, they're not big on the, you know, as you like it ordering system. They'll do it, but they give a little like sigh. Because I always have to get like I like the fish burger at a lot of places, but they put this insane amount of mayonnaise on it, and so I always have them take off the mayonnaise. And every time I ask, 50% of the time they don't actually do it. They say yes, and then it doesn't happen. And then, yeah, I just pretty much deal with it. Yeah, I know. And it's entirely possible that they'll just take it so literally, like Slick Willie says, that you'll just end up with 2 buns with some ketchup in the middle. I think last time I checked, McDonald's had a breakfast hot dog. Don't ask me why, but they did. They had a breakfast hot dog, but this time around they called it the McHot Dog. They gave it a normal name this time. So in the coming on 9 years I've been here, I've seen 2 incarnations of the McDonald's hot dog. Back in like 2003, it was the Frank Burger, and then recently they had it called the breakfast McHot Dog. Oh, the McRib! I fucking love the McRib. The McRib is the greatest thing on earth. And they only do it. They bring it out like once every couple of years. It's McRib time, boys. I love the McRib. The McRib is just some weird ass pork mincemeat piece of frighteningness. Yeah, with like a barbecue sauce on it. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, but it's awesome. I've seen it in the States. I had it before I came to Japan, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, boobies. Yeah, you got it perfectly. It's a brick of compressed meat-like giblets with some sauce. Are there any awesome Japanese alcoholic drinks over here in the States you should know about? Dana Toth. I don't even know where to begin. There is so much awesome alcohol in this country. And I say this both in praise of the Japanese and as a warning to any of you who might come here. I'd say 1 in 4 of my friends are alcoholics. And I'm not joking. I'm seriously not joking. Alcohol abuse in Tokyo is staggeringly high. Staggeringly high. It does not aid the fact that you can buy alcohol 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's incredibly cheap. And there's essentially no real negative stigma attached to public drunkenness in the city. And especially when you couple that with feelings of isolation foreigners often feel when they first arrive here. Also, you know, when you first arrive here, you're going to be going to a lot of like parties to meet people. You're going to end up going to bars more than you normally would have because to meet people. You're going to end up going to lots of things. So there's a ton of alcohol in the city, more so than I've seen in any other city. Like when I lived in London, there was a lot of alcohol, a lot of drinking, but it was very different in tone than it is here. I'd have to think about it more to really explain the difference, but very different from the States. Very different from the States. But yeah, I mean, alcohol is a huge issue in Japan, and one that's not really addressed in any way, shape, or form by the Japanese. But there's lots of yummy stuff. Umeshu, it's kind of plum wine. It's fantastic. Then you have shochu, which is a kind of hard liquor, also known as soju in Korea, similar thing. Nihonshu, which is known, most people call it sake, but I've said this before in videos, but sake actually means all alcohol. All alcohol. Beer is sake. Wine is sake. That's all of that is sake. So if you say to someone, I would like a sake, you could mean anything. But what you really mean is a nihonshu. Nihonshu is Japanese rice wine. Oh yeah, there's moonshine. There's you know, smoking is still pretty common here. Almost any bar, every bar you can smoke at. Coffee shops have been trying to divide the smoking and non-smoking sections. Even Starbucks in Tokyo has smoking sections. But yeah, no, there's tons of great drinks in Tokyo. No, this chocolate drink is disgusting, but it's something anyway. This might be good with like a Kahlua or something like that. I don't know. Cigarettes are incredibly cheap right now. Cigarettes are about $3 a pack, but in several months, I think in the next 6 months, it's going to go up to 400 yen. 400 yen a pack. They're jacking up the taxes on that sometime in, I think, the next 6 months. But I mean, still, like, you know, 400 yen. I mean, guessing that's like $4. That's still cheap, you know, compared to the U.S. Yeah, and alcohol in Japan is like every country. It's the tax rate on certain types of alcohol. It's kind of hard to explain. The tax rate on alcohol is determined by the type of alcohol it is. So the tax on wine is different than the tax on beer. The tax on beer is different than the tax on gin. So each type of alcohol is taxed differently. Generally speaking, the tax on beer is quite high. It's a very high tax on beer. So there's a legal definition of what beer is as a drink. And so what the clever folk at Sapporo, Asahi, and other breweries did was they created a kind of beer that had a very low amount of malt in the brewing process. so that technically it was not beer. It tastes kind of like beer. It tastes basically, it is beer. I mean, it's yellow, foamy, 5% alcohol, but the percentage of malts in the product is lower than the legal definition of beer. So it was not taxed the same as beer is taxed less, and as a result, they had this whole new, like, so they had regular beer, like, you know, Asahi Super Dry, and then next to it, Asahi, like, Asahi Honnama, something like that, and it was like 50 yen cheaper, and so people were like, oh, okay, well then I'm gonna get the cheaper one. It's not maybe as delicious as the original beer, but it was cheaper. And so the government then said, all right, okay, this new category, which they called Haposhu, is now going to be taxed higher. So any kind of beer you make with this like very low amount of malt has a higher tax. So the price on that Haposhu went up. And then Suntory and Asahi and them were like, damn it! Ah! So I believe it was Sapporo were the first ones to do it. They created a kind of beer that doesn't use any malt whatsoever, but instead uses some type of enzyme taken from green peas, and produced what's now called third category beer, which now doesn't even fall under the regulations for Haposhu. So it's not beer, it's not Haposhu, it's now called third category beer. And that is now the cheapest one. It's like, you know, for a can this size, it's like probably 170 yen, 160 yen, something like that. And they haven't, as far as I'm aware, the government hasn't readjusted the taxes for this new category of beer yet. So for the time being, at least, it's wicked cheap. And then there's one more thing, which is kind of weird. The taxes on hard liquor are quite low. Shochu, which is kind of grain alcohol, is quite low. So there's a like a beer flavored drink with grain alcohol added to it. So it's technically like a cocktail. And I've seen there's a Korean version of it. I see at the liquor store I usually shop at, and it's like 100 yen a can. But it's essentially like, I don't know, some type of beer flavored drink with like hard liquor added to it. It's got like Korean writing all over it. It's so sketchy, but it's not technically soju even. But so it's like the companies are always trying to find some, you know, way around it. I don't drink much at all anymore. I drink only on specific occasions now, if at all. But at my peak, I did the Yamanote Challenge, which was, I'm still very proud of this. Myself, my old Irish roommate, and our favorite bartender drank one beer at every station on the Yamanote line in one day, which is, I think it was 23, 24 beers. So we started Sugamo at like 10 a.m. and we just went around the entire thing. I have also done the same thing on the Central Line in the UK. I did the entire Central Line. No, not Central Line. Sorry, Circle Line. The yellow Circle Line in London. I drank one beer at every station on the Circle Line and on the Yamanote Line. Yes, this is what I have accomplished with my life. Yeah, I'm trying not to blog drunk anymore. That's never a good idea. And now I drink cocoa water. Yay. It's coming up on 2 p.m. here. Yeah, blogTV is actually a lot more fun for me too when I'm drunk. Pretty easy. I just heard about the thing. I found a thing online. There was like an interview like a week or so later. I went to the interview in San Diego. They accepted me. It was, I think, June or so. Actually, maybe it was more than 2 months. No, it wasn't. Yeah, no. It was probably May. I took the interview, I think, and then July I was on the airplane. So it was actually a pretty fast turnaround. That was just my first job here was teaching English. What do you think about teaching Spanish? I think it's great if you can find a job. There's obviously fewer jobs for other languages, but I mean, I know one guy who's a Spanish teacher here. It's just harder to find students because unfortunately Spanish is not as popular. Bladder control, I don't want to get into this because this information is out there in heaps. Go to daveseslcafe.com. daveseslcafe.com. I will type it. That website will tell you anything you need to know about teaching in foreign countries. Absolutely, any information you need is there. That's the only website I used when planning my own whatever this is. So I'm sure you'll be able to find the information there. I'll be back in 1 second. Hold on.
Pick 'em up just
the chocolate colo is not doing it for me. Hee hee. I'm just making some coffee. How could I do that not in front of my computer? That makes no sense. Item user. Oh yeah. Actually, you need absolutely no Japanese ability to be an English teacher in Japan. In fact, it's preferred that you speak no Japanese by many companies. Yeah, like it's not, because essentially what Japanese I can tell all this. Most Japanese people have already learned English to some degree in school. What they don't have is a chance to practice it, and so what they'd like to do is simulate the experience of talking to an actual foreigner. And unfortunately, the longer you live here, the better you get at understanding broke dick English. So, like, for example, like when my parents visited, like we're talking to my Japanese friend whose English sucks, and he says something, and it's completely coherent to me what he just tried to say, and my mom and dad have no clue what he's just said. Because I'm so used to listening to broken English that I can completely understand what they're trying to say. So a lot of schools like Nama Gaijin, like fresh off the boat Gaijin, because it's the same way an actual foreign person would react when talking to one of them. So if you're like me and you've gotten so accustomed to it, it becomes difficult to correct Japanese people on their English because you're just so used to hearing it. No, I will, and the range of students you'll have students that their English is basically native speaker, and you'll have other students that their English is beginning. I've only ever even heard of once a Japanese person who didn't know the alphabet. That's one time I've heard of the existence of such a person. But essentially, everybody has like a little, a little bit. Many of them, they can write an essay on paper, but they can't actually speak anything. It's sort of like I studied Latin in high school, and I can read still to some extent Latin today. I don't think I could write any. But speaking it, no way in hell. So I started studying Japanese after I arrived here. I studied Chinese in university, and then began studying Japanese a couple months after I arrived here. But basically, yeah, many people can, read and write English, but they just can't speak it. Chinese made it very confusing, and then actually for the first year I was here, I was studying simultaneously Chinese and Japanese, because my original plan had me in Shanghai about a year or two after I arrived in Tokyo. So my game plan was to study Chinese while I was in Japan, prepping for when I eventually went to China. But that somehow never happened. Maybe in another lifetime. What made you decide to move to Japan? Nothing made me decide to move to Japan. I just decided I wanted to move outside of the US for a couple of years and travel. And then I went to the website I mentioned before, Dave's ESL Cafe, and I found lots of discussion boards about different countries and read different things people had said. And in the end, I thought, wow, Japan seems like as good a place as any to start. So I applied for a job in Japan, got it almost immediately, and moved. But then, as I just said, I was thinking I was going to move to Shanghai after that. I actually was dating a girl I met in Japan who was from Shanghai. My first year I was here, and I was thinking about, going there. So it was, with all intents and purposes, I should have been in Shanghai a year after I arrived in Tokyo, but got sidetracked. I went to Syracuse University, who, by the way, blew Western Virginia University out of the water the other day. Go Orangemen. How much longer I see myself in Japan? Thanks, Mom. I don't know. I have no idea. As long as I continue to be gainfully employed in the job I am doing now, which is TV, I will probably stay here. If at some point I was not doing what I wanted to be doing work-wise, I think I would move back home. Also, my parents' health, if I get married or have a kid, any of these things could affect that decision. But currently, I'm just being. So, Japan does have a retirement plan, but the problem is Japan's facing a huge demographic challenge in that in the next 30 years or so, 1 out of 5 people will be over the age of 60. So the retirement system will probably not be functional by the time I'm older. So I don't know. Korea's population, I don't know. I'm not sure which is the lowest. Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, Germany, Italy, all have extremely low birth rates. Currently, to sustain a population, the necessary birth rate is 2.1 children per woman. So each woman has to have about 2.1 children for just the population to maintain its current size. Japan generally is something like 1.2. In Tokyo, it's 0.9. So there's just no kids. It doesn't look like there's gonna be any on the way. I'm doing my best. I'm trying. I'm trying my best, but I can't seem to get that number any higher. Doing what I can though. I did. Oh God, I so wanted to talk to somebody about this. What the fuck is Hiroyuki Sanada doing in Lost? Seriously, what the fuck is with that? Why? Hiroyuki Sanada is a very famous Japanese actor, and he's it's not really a spoiler on that, but he has a role in the new season of Lost. And the second he walked on screen, I was like, what the fuck is he doing here? And for some reason, they also choose to have him speak only in Japanese. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything that's going to ruin anything. He only speaks in Japanese. But what the fuck? Like, so I've thought about this a bit, and I hate to be so cynical, but I think that they're hoping by putting him in the movie, in the show, it will boost their overseas sales in Japan. Because actually, the ratings on Lost have gone down considerably since season 1. But Lost is still incredibly popular in Japan, and so they get quite a bit of money from DVD sales and video rentals here in Japan. But so I can understand like them casting him to kind of throw a bone to the Japanese, kind of like with Heroes as well. But Japanese people all hate, not all, but most Japanese people hate the Japanese dude in Heroes, and they really hate the Korean guy who plays Ando in Heroes. Like that's a very sore point amongst the Japanese, Ando. And so like Ando and Hiro, their Japanese is all subtitled in Japan. Whenever they talk in Japanese, it's subtitled in Japanese, and everybody laughs at them because their Japanese sucks. But I think like with Lost, they might be throwing a bone for an international market. But then on top of that, to have him only speak in Japanese, I'm wondering if that's because Hiroyuki Sanada's English was too shitty, like to actually make him understandable. But I don't think his English is that bad. I've seen him in English movies, and I don't think his English is that bad. But then again, I've lived here, you know, for a long time. Like I said before about the teaching thing, I understand what they're trying to say. But I didn't think his English was that bad. But it seems pretty ridiculous to cast a guy who will only speak in a foreign language. I don't know. Like with Sun and Jin, it was part of the storyline. But I don't see why this guy couldn't have been anybody. So I'm thinking it has something to do with DVD sales abroad. Because actually, you know, the Japanese DVD market it's pretty big. They could make a lot of money just from adding him. It does create a badass of, you know, I don't need to speak English. There is something about that too. Yeah, Sun and Jin are Koreans, but it's interesting. But also, I noticed they didn't subtitle his Japanese. So maybe they liked the mysterious element of it, that as an audience member you don't know what he's saying, so it's frustrating, just like the characters in the show, because you want to know what he's talking about, but you can't because he's talking in a foreign language. So they chose to not subtitle him when he speaks in Japanese. But I was fascinated by that. And I love Lost to begin with, but now I'm really curious to see just what role Hiroyuki Sanada says. It's a bizarre thing, but if you live here long term like me, anytime you see a Japanese person do something in the U.S., you have this weird kind of like, go you, do it, you can do it. Like, you know, you cheer for them, like it was like a sports team kind of way. Like, go Ken with Watanabe, go Puffy, yeah. You know, it's cool to see them like cross over and do well if they can. You know, and don't no spoilers or anything. No spoilers. Be careful. Some people may not have seen it yet. But just so you know, a Japanese dude does appear in the final season. I don't watch a lot of Korean drama. Really, any. I watched some of Fuyu no Sonata, just because it was, you had to at the time. It was everywhere. Yeah, so lost in translation to Bill Maryland. It was alright. Wasn't great. Sofia Coppola should stick to something she does well, like, I don't know, fashion design. Not that she does that very well, though. Favorite Japanese movie? It's tough. Probably Yojimbo. Yojimbo, starring Mifune Toshiro. Leda Moore. I like Seven Samurai, but it's obviously an amazing movie, but I like Yojimbo more. I've seen Harikiri. Ron, oh man, Ron, that's a beautiful movie. That's a really beautiful movie. The only thing about Ron that annoys me is little faggoty Peter, the guy who plays the court jester. Every scene with him irritates me. I don't know why. Throne of Blood was cool, yeah. I like the final scene of Throne of Blood with the arrows. That's fantastic. That's a very, very cool scene. Very cool scene. I don't know Goemon. I'm sorry. Don't know. I don't know. Sorry, Dormantug. I don't know. I got a couple emails. Apparently, I look like the doctor in the new Astro Boy cartoon from Pixar. Natto tastes like beer. I've never heard it put that way, but no. I don't like natto, but I refuse to admit that in front of Japanese people. I just pretend to like it. It wasn't Pixar? I just assumed any animation is by Pixar. I've been told I look like so many freaking people at this point, it's ridiculous. I mean, the list is endless. Apparently, I have quite a few. Yeah, and actually that's, oh god, but I can't talk about it because spoiler issues from Lost. But there's like, alright, if you're worried about a Lost spoiler, close your eyes and ears for a moment. But there's a scene where there's an injured person and they bring him to basically an onsen, like a sento, like a Japanese onsen, and bring him to the onsen to heal him. And I'm like, wait, you've got a Japanese dude and like a magical onsen that, you know, heals people. What? Like that was over the top for me when they brought out the onsen, because it's such a Japanese thing. Like it's so Japanese to have like a large pool of bubbling water that cures all illnesses. And I'm just like, so like the combination of the two things was just a little bit too far beyond coincidence for me. It was like, did J.J. Abrams get like replaced by a Japanese producer? And it is quite a coincidence. Unless, I mean, that maybe that's intentional. Perhaps the Japanese character, is an onsen aficionado from Japan traveling the world looking for better onsen. I don't know. I saw that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? An onsen? You know? And the Japanese, actually, there are many Japanese who basically do believe there is such a thing as like a magical onsen. Like, literally. There's an onsen up in Chichibu for people who have cancer. And people with cancer go there, you know, to help heal their cancer. I mean, it's not so different, I guess, from Fatima or, you know, the waters of, in France, you know, but, what's that place? That's not Fatima's Mexico. What's in France? Damn it. Mary appeared in France in name of place. Oh, is there one Catholic out there among you? Lourdes, yeah, Lourdes. You know, I mean, I suppose it's in a scientific sense, is probably no more unusual than, say, Lourdes. But yeah, I mean, but seriously, there are onsen, like baths, hot baths, spring baths in Japan that people seriously claim have magical healing properties. I'm pretty certain they don't. But that one little detail of the second episode of Lost just totally like fucking made me laugh. Yeah, I mean, I can understand it might be good for, say, a skin condition, but if you've got a tumor, I don't think hot water is going to cure it. Anyway, enough about Lost. It's just making me want to see the next one. That's irritating. Like waiting for stuff to go up on torrents over here so I can watch them, and a lot of shows that just don't ever make it to torrenthood, which is sad. What's your opinion on Japanese bathhouses? I love them. It's bizarre that I'm saying this, but I love going to my local Sento. It's fantastic. Nothing like taking a bath with a bunch of other naked men. I truly cannot believe that I'm saying this, but after 8 years living here, there's some things you grow to like that you would not have expected, and that's one of them. Bizarre, especially in winter. In winter, there's nothing nicer than go and take a nice schwitz. It's awesome. Movies, yay. Yeah, there's a kind of bullshit Japanese urban legend, and actually, it's probably not completely untrue, that people from foreign countries tend to have a stronger body odor because we eat more meat than Asians, than Japanese. Because like the American diet is basically beef. There's a rumor that we, as a result, smell worse. But like, you know, Japanese who eat mostly fish and vegetables have less of a body odor. I kind of want to say it's complete bullshit, but I'm not sure I can. Yeah, exactly, boobies, yeah. Scientifically, I don't think it's true. There's a number of really retarded things like that. Japanese believe, well, I should, sorry. How do I phrase this? Something that somebody said once who was probably Japanese and has since been repeated and people are aware of is that the Japanese intestines are different from everybody else's intestines in the world, and they're longer. They have longer intestines than everybody else, and as a result, that's why they don't get fat. There's a number of really retarded things like this that people have said, or you know, and they become like urban legend status, and even sometimes like actual intelligent people I've heard say, well, you know, the Japanese intestine is longer than the average intestine of a foreigner, so. And you're just like, what? Really? You think that? You know. And, you know, sometimes, you know, and they make absolutely no sense, but. Who here can give something they've heard as a reason why Asians have slanted eyes? Who here has heard at some point in their life some story that explains why Asians have slanted eyes, you know? You know, I've heard like wind or things like that, you know. But I mean, most of this is probably just conjecture and bullshit. And the country is not homogenous by any means. You know, the Japanese people are not a homogenous nation. I mean, if you only consider the last 100 years, like you start the clock at like 1900, then yeah, it's homogenous. But if you start the clock around the year, I don't know, 0 BC, you know, then they're in no way homogeneous. Yeah. So I mean, there's like a lot of these stupid like theories on all ends in the spectrum. I'm sure the same thing with African people of African descent. Why are their hands white but the rest of their bodies darker? You know, every country has these kind of inane, retarded, you know, things. But like, you know, most people don't take any of them seriously, and some of them might actually have some truth. I mean, they might be. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know whether or not the average Japanese intestine is actually longer than a Western intestine. I have no idea. You know. Limited, if no experience with ganguros. My opinion of them is they're just yet another little cultural subset of Japan. It's a fascinating thing. I've said it here before. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. But take a picture of a geisha. A geisha. Imagine in your mind a picture of a geisha. Now imagine the photo negative of that geisha, and you are looking at a ganguro. Ganguro, it was popular. They're basically almost all gone now. They're almost all gone now, but they were popular for a while in early 2000. They had extreme dark tans, white lipstick, blonde dyed hair, and they love Alba Rosa for some reason. But like they essentially are the inverted color schematic of a geisha. But geisha are a traditional and culturally important part of Japan. Ganguro are freaks. It kind of throws it all into kind of relativist worldview. So, I don't know. So, but I don't know. I really don't know. The other thing, I was watching Japanese TV the other day, and they had this hideous show on about young mothers who were gyaru, and gyaru is like a lighter version of a ganguro. Heavily tanned, lots of jewelry, fake blonde, often like, weird colored contact eyelids, shit like that. But they're all like 18 to 23, and mothers of like newborn babies and whatnot. And they did a whole like hour focusing on their lives and stuff like that. And the thing that like was really pissing me off as I was watching it was the angle that the show had taken was how cool these girls were. How cool they were, that like, they were young moms, some of them single mothers, but they were like, kawaii and still young and into fashion and stuff like that. And they're at one point at this woman's house, and she's showing like these brand bags, like Louis Vuitton bags and stuff that are like a couple $1,000s each. And I just wanted to scream at the TV, this woman is a fucking piece of trash. I mean, for God's sakes, you've got a kid now, woman. Stop buying Gucci bags. Seriously. And to anyone like in the production team that came up with this idiotic episode idea, shame on yourself. Because like there is nothing noble about, struggling to be kawaii despite the fact that you're a single mom. I mean, I unfortunately I understand, like, if there's something to be said for trying to find a husband or trying to find someone, or just trying to look good for yourself, just to have a bit of self-esteem, a bit of sense of who you are. I mean, that's very important for a parent to try and retain a sense of normalcy, a sense of, identity. That's fine. But, like, when you've got multiple $1,000 bags, and you're complaining about how you have this really small apartment and daycare is too expensive for your child, you need a serious fucking reality check. Asian people think they're terrible drivers. Nah, I've never heard that. It's funny. They should though. But I mean, of course, Asians think maybe, Americans are bad drivers. Americans think Asians are bad drivers. But in truth, we all know that it's actually people from New Jersey and Connecticut and Quebec that are the worst drivers in the world. That is the axis of evil for bad driving. Jersey, Connecticut, and Quebec. Those three. Yeah, Rhode Island gets reminded. Rhode Island gets a honorable second. Actually, it turns out anyone who lives in a state neighboring my home state of New York City is a terrible driver. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but every single person not from the state of New York who has a license plate from any of the neighboring states is a shitty driver. Now, Pennsylvania, I'll give you guys a pass. Except for the Amish. Seriously, come on, guys. The fucking buggy. Really? You know they all have internet in secret. They all have internet in secret. Let's like into some room hidden in their house. There's some Amish dude downloading porn. There's probably some Amish dude watching this webcast right now. And he's like, oh shit! Oh! They'll find out it was all bullshit just so we can sell jam and pretzels. The truth is everybody's a shitty driver. I have one of my comedy shows up already on YouTube. And I don't know, and I did like a couple like sketch comedy things a while back, and the reactions were mixed. Some people were like, yeah, no, we don't really want to see this. And other people were like, yeah, don't do this. And some people enjoyed it. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth putting it up there. Because it's not really to do with Tokyo, it's more to do with me. So, although originally I set up this channel, like the first like 5 or 6 videos, I had meant to use this channel as a means to show my stand-up. But now I don't really feel like it fits in the channel. Thanks, Skyfall. Yeah, I'm not sure I explained my most recent video as well as I could have. But frankly, I spent about 3 hours in Zoshigaya Cemetery trying to find Koizumi Akumo's grave, and was freezing my ass off. And I did like 1 take, and I was losing the sun, so just like, oh well, this is gonna be it. So I wish I could have worded it better, but there's no better way to word it, you know. The sad thing is, it doesn't matter what you say, he's still dead. So, you know. Yeah, exactly. American humor is built on offending people, groups of people, and that is pretty much taboo in Japan. So what's next to your career plan? Basically right now I'm kind of on hiatus. I'm taking it easy, as it were. I'm trying to work on, I have 2 or 3 projects that will remain secret for now. I'm working on, and hopefully one or all of them will be beneficial to me in some way, but more than likely not, it's not going to end up leading to anything. But I'm taking a little bit of a break from working to do some stuff I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm actually not doing as much of it as I should be, and I've been kind of lazy, actually. But yeah, but sometime around June I'm gonna have to get my ass back in gear doing like work. But for the moment I'm trying to focus on other projects. Well, keep in mind the heated coffee table, you have to sit on the floor to use it. And you really pretty much have to have your legs underneath it to get any warmth off it. But I imagine you can find that on eBay. The one I have is not even mine. It was Kineapple's. I don't know if any of you guys remember Kineapple. But when she left the country, she left me her kotatsu. So that's hers. And now it's in the closet. I don't actually use it. But can I have it? No, you cannot have it. Yeah, nah, if I ever start selling Cooney merchandise, shoot me. Seriously. Seriously. There is absolutely no reason or need for any Cooney apparel. Jesus, -9. Is that a clean jumpsuit behind me? No. Not as far as I'm aware. Some jackets. Well, somebody set up on Facebook, there's a Facebook Cooney fan page club thing. I don't really understand the purpose of it. I guess the purpose is so that when I die, people can make nice videos about me. Although I have a feeling they won't be as nice as the ones Roger got. Yeah. You just go into YouTube and search TokyoCooney, and it'll come up. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna be releasing a clothing line anytime soon. If I release a clothing line, it means I'm in some sort of serious tax debt. I did consider that briefly. I was thinking about selling like the Colonel or something like that on eBay, forwarding the money to him. But actually, the family kind of said that it's enough with the videos and everything, because I mean it was very helpful to them. But I think at some level they wanted to kind of close up that section of his life and move on, because it's really their thing, not and I believe in Michigan. Nice. I think he didn't pick me because Anthony Bourdain's show has already been to Japan twice. Actually, he's done 3 shows in Japan, 1 for Food Network and 2 for his show No Reservations. So I think a 3rd trip to Japan, like, no matter how good my video was or interesting I seemed, I don't think there was any chance he was coming to Japan. I would have been better off having tried to suggest another country. Yeah, I love No Reservations. It's a great show, and obviously my channel on YouTube is a direct ripoff of Bourdain. I mean, that's all it is, really. Just because I'm a huge fanboy of his. The one thing I have noticed is I think Bourdain, ever since he had a kid, I think is going less far, and his shows are getting slightly more handled. So I think I've noticed that somewhat. Well, you know what? Like, this is the thing. Like, with the internet and these things, like, everybody wants it to be free, and everybody wants all this stuff to be, there and viewable. And then, especially on the internet, people get so livid when there's some type of sponsorship, and they call people sellouts and shit like that. But it's like, yeah, if you should kiss Chase's fucking ass and say thank you, Chase, for investing in a show that I like. But unfortunately, quite to the contrary, people get like angry at them for trying to fund something. It's very difficult to get production money together to do something. It's borderline miraculous to get a show made, and you got to get that money from somewhere. You may hate the Catholic Church, some of you, but they're the ones who paid for the Sistine Chapel. There's always going to be a relationship between sponsors and art, for lack of a better term. But especially on the internet, like it's funny. It's like as soon as someone starts to make a little money on YouTube, like their fans turn on them. It's funny as hell. I'm pretty certain. I'm absolutely certain. If like I've got a phone call today from the Travel Channel and they said, "Hey, Cooney, we want you to host a TV show in Japan," I would immediately start getting comments. "Cooney's sold out," immediately. In fact, like when I did those comedy videos, to support my comedy group, the Tokyo Comedy Store, and I put like the website TokyoComedy.com at the end of the video, and I had tons of emails accusing me of being a sellout for advertising something. And it was like, what? Like, I'm advertising my own comedy group on the internet. That's selling out? It's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, you're right, Sile. Bourdain's charm is that he is like a straight shooter, but I mean, there's no check coming from honesty anytime soon. And he still does. He just does it within a certain, framework. It's like for me, for example, like I've been working for the JIBTV website for about a year now. I basically helped build the website, and I've been trying to get people to go and watch, for example, my Tokyo Eye on the website, and trying to get people to look at the website so that we can get more viewers and of course more any advertising money. But all of my biggest fans copy the videos and then post them on the internet, on like Vimeo or something like that, where people can watch them without going to the JIBTV website. It's like this incredibly awkward situation in which, some people who are incredibly trying to help me out are essentially killing one of my main sources of income, because they don't want to watch it through, I guess, that website. So it's kind of ridiculous. No, it's not saddening. It's just it's a difficult conundrum between trying to find a way to fund things and anyway. Actually, a little bit of news. I'm having a Shinnenkai tonight with the staff from JIBTV and Claytonian and Martin Feyneau, the illustrator on the JIBTV website, and Anna and Emily Apple Milk. We'll get out to dinner. Hopefully we're announcing soon I'm still working out the details on it, but there's going to be a contest, win a free trip to Japan contest, sponsored by JIBTV. So I'm working on that right now. So hopefully that will go well. But there's a ton of annoying little details to work out and whatnot. So my life has become a hell of paperwork and things like that. Thank you, the monkey. Yeah, I think the people who loathe Emily don't know jack shit about her. I've known Emily for a year and a half now. We go out to dinner fairly often. She's a very nice person, and she's essentially a kid. She's just a kid, and the amount of hate on the internet directed at her is completely unfathomable to me. And I mean, just having known her for a long time, she in no way, shape, or form thinks of herself as a Japanese or any of the other bullshit stuff that they do. About the asking for money thing, it actually goes back to what we were just talking about. I don't really give a shit. Like, if she wants to ask people for money and people want to give her money, more power to her. I mean, she's trying to stay, whatever way she can, and follow her own dream, which is to do music in Japan. If people want to give money to her, that's up to them. Like the whole e-begging thing, I don't see the issue with it. I really don't. Again, it's something similar to, like I was saying before. It's the internet loves people who are striving for a dream, but as soon as they actually start to succeed at that dream, or as soon as they do anything that doesn't align with their internet morality, they freak out. It's I mean, I personally would not e-beg, and I also told her that it's not a smart move in terms of branding, but I don't see any issue with it whatsoever. To me, it's exactly the same as, say, was it Oasis? They put out an album and asked fans on the internet to buy it for however much they wanted to buy it for. I don't see a difference in those two things. Radiohead, yeah. But it's sort of like the internet is a new economic model, and whether or not you think Emily's an artist is completely up to each and every person to debate. But how that artist funds themselves is up to them, and it's up to the person who want to give the money. And her Japanese is fucking awesome, and you know what, she learned it herself. She worked her ass off to learn the language, and she was fluent in a foreign language and living in a foreign country by the time she was 20. To me, that's incredibly impressive. But the internet is incredibly fickle, and I think the issues really lie with the people that were criticizing her, not with her. So